Hi, this is Celeste Carmichael, Program Development and Accountability Specialist for Cornell Cooperative Extension Administration. I'm bringing you today the CCE Program Data and Success Story Reporting Training. This is the training that was done face-to-face and through several webinars in the summer and fall of 2011. The purpose of this training is to provide you some information for the new reporting system that we have available through the Cornell Cooperative Extension Business System Launchpad, and just to introduce you to the reporting system that we're using this fall of 2011, with a reporting deadline of November 30th. So the new system is what we're going to be going over, and it's the new system that you're going to be using this year for reporting. So this training is really intended to be an introduction and to help you become familiar with some of the tools, and hopefully to get you a little excited about some of the changes that have been made that will, I think, be useful to all of us. So we're going to look a little bit at the reporting needs and practices, why we report, where the data goes, and what folks across the state have been saying about some of their reporting needs. We'll take a quick look at the changes that have been made to the system, the old versus the new, and what you can expect, and then we'll take a tour of the site. So some of this might be information that you're familiar with before. One of the reasons why we collect reporting data is, or the main reason, is because that is a requirement for the federal government. We're required to submit a report against our statewide plan of work, showing how many folks we've reached and what kind of outcome impacts we've had. It's our ticket to federal funding. So if we don't turn in our reports, or if our numbers change substantially, certainly there'll be questions asked. So it's important to know how the system works and why we're collecting the information, so that we can, all be on target to gather accurate information. Speaking of on target, you have, I'm sure, noticed all the targets here on the screen. One of the reasons why we're using this icon and graphics is just because reporting really can help us to be on target with our program development. And this reporting system, in particular, I think has been developed to do just that. So the reporting also helps to meet our civil rights documentation requirements, gathering demographic information about all of our participants. It helps meet SUNY requirements to report non-credit instructional activities, evidence of value to New Yorkers. So beyond the federal government needing these numbers, New York State collects these numbers, and they're reported through the SUNY system. The data and success stories are also mined. Information is harvested out of the system on a regular basis for communications and marketing purposes. And in fact, different programs and Director Dillard will, if they're going to a particular area, ask about what kinds of success stories are in the system, and we'll look in deep and mine some information out about success stories that have been shared with the system. So the information is definitely being used here. And we just want to tell you a little bit about that and encourage you, if you're not using your success stories and your data now to tell your story, there's certainly lots of good ways to do that, particularly with the new system. So we'll take a look at the old system versus the new system. And in short, the way the old system was set up, really it was based on the technology that we had. It was much more of a standalone system that was, worked to collect data, but it didn't necessarily integrate with all of the other tools that we had available. With new technology, and particularly with the assistance of our database management folks, Curtis Josie and Jonathan Baird, we have been able to develop a system that's really integrated in with the Business Systems Launchpad. So the interface that you're going to see is really integrated with those applications, but also it pulls data in from, it'll be able to pull information in from some of those other systems. So I think you're going to be pleased with the way that works. Not only are we all going the same place to get in, but the system internally has the capability for the database to kind of communicate with other databases that are in there. Tools are integrated. There's much more flexibility in how data is entered, and you'll see that not only are you entering data manually through the website, but data can be entered by uploading, exporting data from other databases, like if you're using a database management system in your county, or if you're using the Access 4-H system for the 4-H program, there's the opportunity to export data into a spreadsheet and then import it into the system. So lots of good options there for sure. The other new thing that has changed from the old system is that the federal government is now requiring us to collect volunteer involvement information, and so you'll see that information is on there as well, which certainly could be useful to you as you're collecting data to tell your story to. So probably one of the biggest changes from the old system to the new system is the way that programs are defined. And in the old system, programs were defined on a statewide level. And we're going to take a look at this. But in the new system, you're going to have the opportunity to define a program and then align it with up to three different annual plans of work, statewide plans of work, and so it's a lot more flexible and locally controlled. You can define as many as you'd like, and you can use the information certainly in a lot of different ways, whatever works for you. So I'm going to actually, at this point, go directly to the Business Systems Launchpad and show you how this works. So anyone who is a program educator or association director has immediate access to the program reporting Launchpad. So it would automatically appear in this program section of the Business Systems Launchpad, the program data and success stories, and the participant, volunteer, and mailing list applications. These are two applications that we're going to be looking at today. If for some reason you are a person that enters that data, needs to have access to that data, and you're not seeing that automatically, you just need to ask somebody within your association that's a program educator or your association director, and they can delegate you as a user, and we'll show you how to do that. All right, we're going to start with the program data and success story application. So I'm just clicking on that to open that up right now. A couple of things about this screen. One is on the right hand side there are a variety of quick links that are intended to be help buttons. There's a user guide at the very bottom that has details for essentially everything that you can do within the reporting tool, and some direction on how to do that. User's guide is intended to be helpful, but it's certainly pretty broad. There's also a number of other tools that are a lot more narrow in scope. How to search for stories. There's a quick sheet on how to do that in the quick links. Success story template. So we'll take a look at how you do success stories. The template is a Word document that gives you the flexibility of being able to write in Word and then be able to just copy and paste it somewhere. So I guess my point is just that the quick links on both the program data and success story application and the participant list tool application have details that we're hoping will be very helpful to you, and we are very willing to develop new quick links if you feel like there needs to be something else developed to help the program. So the first button that we're going to show you here is the defining a program, because that's central to all of the parts and pieces that you're going to do here within the reporting system. And defining a program is something, as I mentioned, that's very different from the last iteration of program reporting. Defining a program means that you within your county, you within your association, you're going to have the opportunity to define what you do and then align that with up to 3 different plan of work areas. Your program could be defined in a very broad stroke, like the mission mandate areas of 4-H youth development. Or it could be defined in a very narrow scope, like, again, using 4-H as an example, like the 4-H robotics program. Now, how or why would you define things broadly or more narrow? It really depends on who you're reporting back to. So if you have a grant, per se, in the 4-H robotics area and want to collect information, collect data, and report it back to your stakeholders or to your grantors or funders, defining a program around that narrow area where you're funded might be helpful to you. To us, it doesn't matter. It could be, because all of your numbers and all of your information really gets rolled up into just consolidated data. It doesn't matter how broadly you define a program on this end, but the opportunity to define a program in a more narrow way is intended to be helpful to you as you look for ways to report back your data, ways to tell your story. So let's look at an example. These are all just sample programs that we've been putting in here as we've been training folks to use the system. So none of these are real. Main campus, you can see, is what shows up as the my home county. When you look at this, you're going to see your county up there, or if you're regional ag staff, you're going to see the area that you serve in. But so you'll see main campus Ithaca because that's the area that I work out of. And again, that comes from integrating in with the Business Systems Launchpad, so it knows that when I signed in as Celeste Carmichael, that it picked up that this is the location that I'm at. So you'll see that these are the programs that I've defined. I defined one program as SET Education, and in the SET Education program, I connected it with the Youth Plan of Work. I connected it with the Ag Natural Resources Producer Energy Plan of Work and the Water Resources Plan of Work. That was just a matter of playing around. You can take a look at the plan of work areas and the outcomes and the outcome indicators from those plans of work as we look at this information. But that's why it becomes important. Each of those statewide plans of work has indicators that you're trying to achieve. So when you're defining connecting with a plan of work, that's intended to help you plan what efforts you're putting in so that you can get some good data on the indicator end going out. So in order to add a program, you just click on Add Program. And department here at the top really that connects with the county that you're working out of. Local program title, that's the program title that you're going to give your program. So if I added something here, let's say Healthy Lifestyles. All right, and then I can connect to, like I said, up to 3 plans of work. In this one, I'll probably connect to the healthy eating and active living plan of work, and then I may also connect with the youth plan of work out of youth, families, and communities. And then I'm going to save it, and then you'll see it's going to appear in my list, and it'll be there the next time I go in. So after a program is defined, you can add a success story, you can connect with program outcomes, or you can add data. All right, we're going to at this point look at the success stories because that's an easy one to check off the list. Success stories are a way for you to share what's working well within your county. You know, Mike Duttweiler encourages folks to submit at least one success story for every major program that you have within your county. You know, you may submit more than that, but we ask that you submit at least one success story for each major program area. The success story section or page within this reporting system allows you to do a bunch of things. One, you can take a look at all of the success stories that have been submitted or featured either by an educator name or by a time period or by a program or a story title or a county, you know, kind of whatever it is that you're looking for. So I said 2010, and let's say I want to look at what Cayuga County had submitted in 2010. And so having filtered those stories, I can see that these are the success stories that have been submitted in this last year. To add a new success story, you just add a new story. Give it a story title and a program, the net ID of any of the educators that are working on it, an impact nugget, and in case you have any questions on any of these, you can just hover over the question mark. So when I hover over that, it says the impact nugget is actually providing a short, easy to understand, descriptive, one-sentence abstract for this effort. So that's what you would add. And just so I can show you the kind of information that's in there, I'm going to show you something that's been saved before. So again, you know, this is not anything that's real. This is just bogus information. So I can show you the pages of the success story. So you have a story title, the program that you know that the success story is a part of, and that again is the program that you've already defined. So I chose Broome Forest Management for this one. You know, I mentioned that we're really main campus, so the only things that you'll see as a program to connect with are programs that have been defined for the county that your net ID is connected with. But because I work here in Extension Administration, I can see everything here. But anyway, so if I choose a program title, like Set Education, and the educators' names, the net IDs of all of the educators that may have a part in this program success story. Is it related to equal program employment opportunities? So have we done a good job to describe or extend the programming effort to underserved populations? Yes or no? The impact nugget. And then issues, needs, and audiences, extension response, accomplishments, and impacts, collaborators, and special funding sources, if any. I mentioned that there is a downloadable Word template that you could use if you if you feel that you want to just kind of work on your language before you're working on this. Just as a web form. Some folks have found that to be really useful. I will tell you that once you submit the success stories, you can't get them back to work on them again. You can, if you really need to, just contact Mike Duttweiler or myself. But, the easier thing to do would be to, just review the success story that you're writing before you actually press this submit button. You can press save and then have it available for for you to use and to continue to work on. But once you press submit, the story is kind of gone. Now, there's another button here on this page that says, please consider this story for CCE News. That button is just to, more than anything, it's to help you remember that anything that's submitted as a success story is potentially, going to be mined and shared. So that button is, just another intended to be of assistance to you to just to help you take one more look at the language that's used to see if there's anything that you might change, and help too that when somebody pushes that, clicks on that, the story is flagged as something that you think is really good and that you want to share with the rest of the communications world. So once all of these boxes are filled in, you can save it if you need to review it later, or submit it, and it's submitted to the success stories. All right, so from there I'm going to jump to the other part of this application called the participant list tool, or you'll see it here listed as the program, participant, volunteer, and mailing list. This is the place that you'll enter participation data directly. In the old versus new section, you may have noticed that it said that in the old system you could only enter data directly. In the new system, you can enter data directly, or you can use an Excel spreadsheet and import data into this system directly. And you certainly can do that. So there's a number of different entry forms here. There's individual enrollment entry forms, which collects all sorts of data on the participants, and this is intended to help you. Some folks have asked for a reporting system that can also double as a mailing list system, or a way to manage your clientele. Some of you have other client management systems and you're perfectly happy with that, and that's okay. This is really intended to just serve you. So if you can use it, fine, and if you can't use it, that's okay too. At the very least, though, we do need the group enrollment totals, which is more of a summary of information about the participants that you have in your program. Again, it asks you to connect with a program. So if you have I did healthy lifestyles earlier. So if the program that this connects to is called healthy lifestyles, then it asks for an event name, a date, and the event type. And the event type could be an outreach event, or it could be professional development for volunteers. Those are the only two options that are there right now. It also asks for event duration, and the event duration will help you come up with the number of contact hours for it'll help us come up with the number of contact hours for the SUNY system report that was listed as another side benefit of all of this reporting work that you do. And then on the bottom is a summary of demographic information for males, females, volunteers, and and then the demographics on the folks that are there. If you don't know, that's okay. You don't have to make anything up. You can leave the spaces blank. But if you do know, or if you have a best guess scenario, the more information we have about our clientele that are participating in our programs, the better off we are. So I would encourage you to do as much as you can. There's also a button on this program event participation group enrollment called Enter Group of Same Events. And that's for, in case you're offering the same workshops a lot of different times, or the same workshops in a variety of locations. For example, when I was working as a environmental educator in Cuga County many years ago, I was doing septic system education workshops across the county. So essentially I did the same workshop, 7 or 8 times in many different locations. So in that case, the the program name might be environmental education. The event name might be septic system education for homeowners. The start date and the end date could be for the full year if I wanted to, or if I was doing it by the month and reporting at the end of the month, I could report my data that way. It asked me for the number of events, so if I held 8 events within that month and they were all community outreach events, with the average hour being 2, and then I would fill in the information here and save it. Okay, so in addition to being able to directly add numbers, there's this opportunity to add information through a form. And there's a form for individual enrollment, and there's also a form for group enrollment. If you're importing data into the system in this way, a couple things that you need to know. So if you're exporting from another database management system like Access4H, when you import it into the system, it has to be, all the columns have to be labeled exactly the way they are in these sample Excel spreadsheets. And, there's no messing around with any of that. So that's why those sample sheets are there. If we can help you transfer data, if you want to, if you're looking into doing something like this, we're happy to help you do that. We are working with Access4H right now to develop a simple export from Access4H into into Excel for the 3 major mission mandate areas, and then some directions for counties that want to define their programs in a more narrow way. The other thing that I was going to say about these Excel spreadsheets, and all of this is written up in the user's guide as well, but if you're doing this, the thing to note is you need to save it as a CSV file. So once you have entered all your data, just save it as and choose CSV file. It makes a smaller file out of all of this information. CSV is comma separated values. And then you can upload it, and I'll show you where you do that. You upload it, import the spreadsheet here at the bottom. So it asks you which spreadsheet template are you working on. So if that was group enrollment that I wanted to import here, and then it asks me which program am I importing it into. So you choose your program, and then you choose your CSV file that you have saved on your computer somewhere, and then click on import, and it'll import that data. So there are the educational events that we just looked at. There's also individual contacts, and that's intended for people who call on the phone or stop by the office. So this is a way for you to report again on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, annual basis, whatever really works for you specifically. It doesn't matter to us. It's really intended to be a help, on the reporting end for you. So if your program is again narrowly defined and you have to report back to stakeholders or funders on a regular basis, you might want to align your start date and end date for reporting to meet the needs of your reporting deadlines with that particular stakeholder. So that's individual contacts. There's also indirect contacts, and indirect contacts is intended to be like newspaper or web work or radio. The times that you're meeting with, not meeting individually with a constituent or a participant, it's times when you have a chance to interface with them, in a non-direct sort of way. That's why it's called indirect, right? So you choose a program again that you're reporting against. So I'll go back to my healthy lifestyles. The description might be web page updates or whatever you are working on. All right, and then a start and end date. It really depends on, what your reporting information is for. I'm going to say internet here. And then, based on whatever information you have, it asks for indirect contacts. So in our face-to-face and webinars, we spent some time talking about what a reasonable indirect contact number is. So if your indirect contacts are for print media, I'll mention you're only reporting that information once, even if you've submitted 4 different columns, or if it's one particular program like a weekly column, you're only reporting on that once for the year. So if you had a weekly column and that weekly column is in a newspaper that has a readership of 29,000, then your description might be weekly column topic, and the media in this case might be print media. And because this is something that's you're only reporting once, your start date and end date might be a whole year, just so that you don't at a later time enter that same information. So as Mike Duttweiler has said before, the indirect contact information that has been submitted occasionally over the years they've been really some really large numbers, and as he looks a little bit closer at where those numbers are coming from, a lot of times it's just kind of misunderstanding of how often you should be reporting particular numbers. All right, so going back to the participant data, we covered the educational events, the individual contacts, and the indirect contacts. The other things that are on this list are mailing list functions, which allows you to update a mailing list, identify and fix potential duplicate participants from a mailing list, or updating a participant entry from a mailing list. And all of those are really only functional when you have information that's been entered as an individual enrollment. So if having mailing list functions is of interest to you, I would encourage you to think about how you can make use of that individual enrollment form. All right, we're going to take a look at the reports and exports that are available from the participant data that you have. Okay, and you can choose all of your programs or a couple of your programs or just one of your programs, and then you can report by a specific time. So we talked about reporting on a monthly basis. Say you need to have reports submitted on a monthly basis. You can report by a particular event that's been suggested in there or has been entered into your reporting participant information. You can narrow it by the participants or the volunteers or the attendee EPO report. If you have specific information, if you have detailed individual enrollment information in there, you can also print off or show a mailing list by email address or mailing address or phone list. So right now I have, let me pull here 4-H Science Rocketry, because I know I have some information in there. And we'll look at all of the events that have been listed for the program that's been defined as 4-H Rocketry, 4-H Science Rocketry. And then I'll look at information for all attendees, both direct and indirect. And what you see here on the bottom is all of the data information that we have submitted for 4-H Science Rocketry for the events that have been listed, and in the direct and indirect impact listing. Now, if I had entered individual enrollment data, I would also be able to print off mailing lists for mailing labels for all the folks that participated in a 4-H Science Rocketry program, or name tags, for the upcoming event, perhaps, or mailing labels. This is just the purpose here. So those two things are available if you have entered individual enrollment information. All right, we're going to flip to the other side, which, you'll see jump to participant list tool. If I jump to participant list tool, it says jump to program data. The reason that's there is because right now those are two separate applications, but they communicate and they work together as one. So under the program data and success story, there's a menu item called program outcomes. And so when you open this up, what you'll see is just your county listed here and all of the programs listed underneath your county. You're seeing everything right now just because, because I have access to see what everybody's information is. But if you opened up the program outcomes, and these are the program outcomes for the SET education program, so something that's been, something that's been defined. So at the top you'll see the SET education data that's been submitted through the participant list tool that we were just looking at before. And then below you'll see the annual statewide plan of work outcome indicators that I've chosen to align with. So when we defined the program as SET education, it looks like three separate statewide plans of work were chosen: water resources, ag and natural resources, producer energy, and youth. So the indicators that are listed here are, supposed to be, it's trigger information to know whether or not you're reaching your target. So when you set out to do SET education and you aligned it with the youth plan of work, you have made the connection between what we said we're going to do with the plan of work and with the SET education program that you have defined. So within that plan of work, we're looking at the number of participants demonstrating an increased awareness of SET, improved SET skills including scientific methods, knowledge in specific sciences, and or increased awareness of opportunities to contribute to society using SET skills. So there's an indicator right there, and based on maybe evaluations that I've done, based on what I know of the participants, and based on the number of youth and adult participants and volunteer participants that I know I had, then we should be able to make a good estimation of how many participants have reached that particular indicator. One of the reasons why this information is here on top is just as a reminder of what your numbers are, because obviously you can't go over that when you're putting your outcome information in down below. You can't, this information up top is not intended to be, well, you can't edit it up here. And the information that you enter here on the bottom, you know, if you save it now, the next time you go in there, I'll just show you what happens. So I've saved it, and the next time I go to program outcomes for SET education, 34, the number 34 appears for the number of participants who demonstrated the ability to express their ideas. Now if I wanted to change that number, I just have to get rid of it and update the number. So it doesn't do any adds automatically. You're just kind of doing those additions in your head as you're adding numbers to your outcome indicator information. Okay. All right. So the last thing that I just wanted to show you how to do here is to add what's called a delegate. So if you're in here and you know, you don't see any of this program information, then that might mean that you're not in a role where you've been added automatically to be able to work with the reporting system. But never fear, there is a way to add you. So if somebody who is a program educator and association director goes in, you know, what they're going to see is a little button up here that says Delegate User. And when they open that up, there are only a couple options. One, the department that the county that you're in automatically appears. The only role that appears, that should appear for you, is a department delegated user. And then you know, any person can add a delegated user to their own program or department just by adding the net ID. So if my net ID is CJC17, if I needed to be added as a delegate, they would choose somebody, you know, the program educator or association director would choose make sure that the department is correct and pick the role department delegated user, add the net ID, and then just click on add, and you'll see what happens. There we go. What happens is, all right, so I added Cayugas to, I think because I was already in there, but what would typically happen is you would see a little button here that says Delegate. And delegates can be deleted at any given time. Okay, so this system is really intended for everyone within our system to be able to work together to do some really strategic program planning, and then you know, once as a part of that program planning, think clearly about what indicators are we shooting for. So what's our target? And then think about how we're going to evaluate to make sure that we have reached that target. So, this system has definitely leaps and bounds from where we were. I think there's a lot of potential for you to be able to collect data that's going to help you tell your story locally and help us tell the story of Cornell Cooperative Extension systematically. So that's the short version of training for the CCE reporting system as a part of the Business Systems Launchpad. Please feel free to ask questions at any time. Mike Duttweiler and myself will be working on this reporting tool and the reporting system and the requirements, from here on in. So if you have questions, please feel free to get in touch with us. So Celeste Carmichael, CJC17 at cornell.edu. I hope this was helpful. Thanks.